Back in the day, that's Gin and Juice, a hip-hop classic from Snoop Dogg. That was then. Now the superstar goes by a new name, Snoop Lion, part of his remarkable transformation from movies and music to even coaching football. Snoop does it all. Mr. Lion, welcome to you.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Hey, the pleasure's all.
I've waited a long time for this. Huge fan of yours. Now, tell me why you've gone from dog to lion.
Well, it's a transformation musically, spiritually, and mentally. You know, I went to Jamaica on a journey to make some music, and eventually became, engulfed with the spirit of Rastafari and the spirit of reggae music. And the transformation was necessary. It became what it is.
Jamaica is a very special place, isn't it? I've got good friends there. Interviewed Usain Bolt, the sprinter. He's from there, and I know some cricketers who are from Jamaica. It has a special soul to it.
It does. It's a special place. Once you engulf Jamaica, it takes over you. You know, no matter what kind of person you are, it's just that spirit of love and caring and giving that becomes a part of you. And once I became, a part of Jamaica and the music and the culture, it took me in as a brother.
Yeah, Bob Marley's up there somewhere, smiling down on you, Snoop Lion. He loves this stuff.
And that's what it's about. To me, the whole title of the record, Reincarnated, is because I always felt like I was Bob Marley reincarnated. And I felt like I was making music that wasn't representing the spirit that I wanted. I wanted to make music that could possibly get me on the Essence Awards, or get me in the White House, or get me in a big position where I could say something. And I felt like my music never did that, even though it done a lot for a lot of people, but it never spoke from the true place that I wanted to speak from, a place of love.
You said it is your direct quote. It ain't about money, it's about respect. Explain to me what you mean by that.
Well, a lot of people have money but don't have respect. And a lot of people with respect don't have money. So when you do get money, you shouldn't let money be the tool of the vehicle. You should always focus on giving respect and getting respect at the same time, because the money could be taken away at any given point.
Have you had times in your life when you've been, maybe had plenty of money, but been very disrespectful? Have you been that other person?
Oh, yes, definitely, because that's what comes with the territory, especially when you don't know how to handle money and you don't know what to do with money, and you let money become, the direction of your life. But until you understand what life is all about, then you put money back in its proper perspective.
When you see the problems in places like Chicago, with predominantly young black men in their late teens, often involved in this gang violence, you've been in that position. What are the real causes, do you think, and what are the best possible ways of resolving it?
It's a miscommunication somewhere. It's a miscommunication with the people in the community and the youth. Because the youth are in revolt. They're doing what they want to do because no one is there to give them directions on what they need to do. When I came up, we had a certain criteria of gangsters that we looked up to who were called OGs. And these OGs would teach us and show us the appropriate way to do it. Nowadays, there aren't too many OGs that take the time to give these guys the guidance and the direction. So they're, misguided, and they're out there walking around taking their own direction.
You're a very loving husband and father. How much of that is a problem with these young kids in these gangs where they don't have perhaps a father figure? They have a very dysfunctional family background. And what's the best way of tackling that?
I think that's 95% of the problem, because if you don't have nobody to, match what your mother is teaching you, if your mother's teaching you to do what's right and you don't have that father figure there, you tend to do what's wrong. And the best way to try to, help that problem is to try to stay community, stay organized, and stay with each other. It takes a village of people to raise one kid. One thing about my community when I came up, it wasn't just about my mother raising me. It was about everybody in the community. If I did something wrong, somebody down the street could check me and get me back in pocket. Nowadays, it's like it's no law, no rule, and no, understanding to when the kid is wrong and when he's right.
You were born Calvin Broadus from Long Beach in California. Does anybody actually call you Calvin anymore?
Nah, because I've become Snoop, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
be somebody.
Probably the people I went to school with, some of the officials, and some of the law enforcement that have seen my life drastically change in the appropriate way.
There's my friend Calvin.
Yes, sir.
Where you grew up, 20% of the people that lived there lived under the poverty line. So you came from a pretty tough background. When you see the economic strife so many Americans are having now, what is your message to them? Obviously, you made an incredible success of your life. When you look back on how you did that and how you broke free from the gangs and everything else, and from poverty, what do you think were the key determinators in enabling you to do that?
One of the keys was separating myself, closing the gap. You know, I had to close the gap between me and my friends. A lot of my friends weren't going to go where I wanted to go and didn't have the vision to go where I wanted to go. So I had to close the gap and learn how to, you know, associate with them but without, to still be their friends and still love them, but, you know, do my journey without them because it was not going to work with them not having the same vision as me and not having the same work ethic and the same beliefs. As far as I had to relinquish all my drug selling duties. I didn't sell drugs. I didn't gangbang. I had to leave it all alone when I became, you know, Snoop Dogg the rapper, when I said this is what I want to do. And I didn't make no money. I didn't get no attention. I wasn't a star. So it's sacrifices that I had to make that, you know, my friends wasn't willing to make. So I say to you, you know, whatever you're willing to do in life, you have to be willing to make that sacrifice first and foremost and stand on your own 2 feet and be a leader, not a follower.
That takes supreme self-dedication and self-discipline, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It takes a lot of that, but at the same time, you get it with, you know, the toughs of the hard knocks of the streets. You know, I was hard-headed. My mother taught me the right ways and the things to do to avoid going to jail and being incarcerated, but I was hard-headed. I didn't listen to her, so I chose to go out there and, you know, rumble with the homies because I didn't have a father figure at home. But that didn't mean that she didn't do her best. So I understand what the mothers are going through as far as having a child without that father to be there to help them, you know, raise them.
Let's take a little look at the documentary, Reincarnated. It comes out on March 15th. Let's watch a bit of this.
My life is in stages, you know what I mean?
We, the jury in above entitled action, find the defendant, Calvin Brodus, not guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree.
Whether it's me performing live on stage,
Let me hear you say Snoop, dog.
or me going through stages in life. That's what my life has always been based on. And that's what forced me to find a new path.
It's very powerful in parts. It's been called funny, disarming, poignant. I doubt you've been called poignant too many times in your early life. Do you feel lucky to be alive when you look back over everything you came through?
I feel very lucky and blessed at the same time because I've seen a lot of people not make it, and I was in positions where I could have been right along with them. And, you know, I just feel like, you know, when you're here for a reason, and you need to do the right thing and do more of what's necessary as opposed to what's unnecessary.
You've written a very powerful song about guns, which I want to come back and talk to you after the break. It's called No Guns Allowed, and it has a very eloquent and evocative message I want to discuss with you in a moment.